Hey guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am super excited to be here with my first process video using my January for the Love of Homemade kits. And so this is a series where a bunch of my friends and I use a common recipe to create a stash kit that we create with every Monday throughout the month. And so if you want to go back and check out my kit or any of the other ladies who are playing along, I will link that down below. But for today, this is going to be the very first layout with my kit. And generally, when I build a stash kit, or even when I get a kit like a subscription kit in the mail, I want to pull out just a few things that I want to use. And the reason I do that is because I tend to get either one, overwhelmed, or two, I want to play with all the things all at the same time. And that doesn't always work out so well. So I pulled out just a few things that I knew I wanted to play with today. And I have a 4x6 photo, and then I also have two 3x4s that I'm kind of treating like a 4x6. And so I want this top photo, which is a close-up of my son's hands with this pocket knife. And I'll kind of tell you the story of that here in a second. And then the other two pictures are my husband kind of working with him and showing him how this particular pocket knife works. And so I want to have the top part of the layout kind of centered over to the left and then the bottom half centered over to the right. And so I'm using those sticker sheets that I put in my stash kit from Heidi Swap to create the layers behind my photo. I really liked the pop of color and the different like tabs and shapes and things that those were going to add. So I decided to use those as some of my layers for my embellishment clusters rather than going straight into cutting up a bunch of the pattern paper. So then I've also pulled out these little triangle die cuts, and these were from that same Heidi Swap pack. And I'm loving the one that says New Kid on the Block, but the one that says Happy Camper is not working for me because it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't look right. So I'm thinking in my head something's got to change down in that bottom cluster. But this top cluster, I throw a tag in there. I've got my little epoxy flare. I'm feeling pretty good about how that one is. But I don't really like the fact that the two triangles are different directions. I did go back to my stash into my epoxy flare because I felt like I needed a different one than just fun because, you know, pocket knife pictures and fun, I don't know. So instead I found one that says keep calm and go camping. So I thought that was a little bit more appropriate. And I did go back to my stash and grab a different triangle die cut, and this one says collect moments, not things. And then I'm going to go through these sticker sheets and just kind of keep adding to those embellishment clusters. So I have my big layers of my embellishment clusters done with all of those kind of big journaling stickers, the circles and the squares and rectangles and things. And then I have a tag in each cluster because I'm trying to keep my two clusters looking, you know, similar. So then I've got my triangle element, I've got my little epoxy flare, I've got a tag in each one. So I'm keeping those two embellishment clusters balanced and I'm keeping them on that diagonal. So as I continue kind of just playing around with where my embellishments are going to go and that kind of thing, these particular pictures were important because my son was in Boy Scouts at this time, and you had to do this little like training class type of thing and do all these exercises to earn your card to be able to carry a pocket knife. And my son, if you know him, or if you've heard a lot about him, you know that he is a complete, like, 100% rule follower. Like, if somebody tells him, these are the rules and these are the jobs you have to do to get what you want, he is going to do exactly what you asked him to do in that order with, like, military precision. And so him going through, and he really, really took this whole thing very seriously. And so he had finally earned his pocket knife certificate or his card that allowed him to carry a pocket knife. And so my husband went and got him one of his very own because that was something he had done with his dad as well. And so this was very much this rite of passage for my husband and my son. And so that's why I have all of these kind of random pictures of this. And so I'm going to title this Rite of Passage, and I'm using those foam thickers that came from Field Trip. And if you saw while I was working there, I also tucked in a few different die cuts. So I've got a camera and the little viewfinder and some of those bright blue leaves because I knew that would tie in my title. I'm adding just a few enamel dots, and these were just ones that I keep on my desk. So I tend to keep the colors that I use all the time, like black, white, and gray, just sitting right on my desk. So I am going to add a few of those into my clusters as well. I have my black pen out, so I'm going to go ahead and do just a little bit of journaling. So it just talks about earning your first pocket knife and how excited you were for this particular rite of passage. I am going to come back in with my white gel pen because I feel like I need a little bit of like detail around the outside edge of the layout to kind of keep everything contained. So I'm adding a few more enamel dots in some different colors, and then I'm going to start with this paint pen and switch to my gel pen because my gel pen just never lets me down when it's on dark colors like this. So I'm going to put just a little thin white border around the outside edge of the layout, and then I'm going to do just a little bit of doodling around my enamel dots just to add another little pop of that white and kind of finish off those embellishment clusters. So some of them are just dots and some of them are a little bit of like open circles. And that's basically going to do it for this layout. So I didn't use a ton of the pattern paper in my kits, but I was able to use up a bunch of the stickers and embellishments and things that have been in my stash for a really long time by using those to create my embellishment clusters. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing what I did on this very first layout, and I'll be back to see you soon. Bye.